this is Monica Bramlett, and in this video we are going to talk about the commutative property and strategies for multiplying any number by 7. Okay, so the commutative property states that the order of the two factors, we can multiply them in any order, so it's not going to change. It does not change the product no matter what order we multiply them in. So let's look at this example right here of 4 times 3. If you look at my area model, I have 4 rows of 3, and I know that that's equal to 12. Well, I can also rotate it into 3 rows of 4, and as you can tell, I'm still getting a product of 12. So both of these are equal to 12, but this one is in the arrangement of 3 rows of 4. So whether the 4 comes first in my multiplication equation or the 3 comes first, I'm still going to get a product of 12. As we see, we just took this and rotated it. So this is helpful because let's say that I'm working with a fact like 7 times 3. And I get stumped because I haven't learned a strategy for my 7s yet. I'm not sure what to do. Well, if I've learned my 3 strategy and I know 3 times 7 is 21, well then I know that 7 times 3 is going to be the same product. Okay, so now we're going to look at this multiplication chart right here. And we're going to talk about the various strategies we've learned so far across these lessons to help us be more efficient when we multiply and to build our fluency. So we started off talking about doubles and how we could double any number because it's 2 sets of that number. So that means we are fluent with our doubles. We are good. Well, what's great about that is we're able to take every times 2 that we see off of our chart. So that's one less fact, because if I know 2 times 9, I know 9 times 2. Okay, so next after that, we talked about other foundational facts such as our tens, how we could just use place value understanding. If it's 10 times larger, I have, for example, for 10 times 3, I just take the 3 and place it in the tens place and place the 0 in the ones place to get my answer. So we are now fluent in those. And once again, we're able to remove every times 10 fact. Okay, after our 10s, we talked about our 5s, and here we talked about how we could half the product. Instead of having to count on our fingers, we could just half the product out of our 10s fact. So if I know that 5 times 4, to get that, I know that 10 times 4 is 40, and half of that's 20. So I can just take my 10s fact and half the product to get that. So we've mastered our 5s. Going to delete part of my Y, excuse me. All right, so that means that I can take off all my 5s. We talked about our 5s. We then talked about our other foundational facts of 0. And we talked about the 0 property here, that anything times 0 is going to be 0. And that's because you can't have 0 groups of 3, or you can't have 3 groups of 0. You're still going to end up with nothing there. So we've learned this fact set here, and we can now take away anything with our zeros in it. You see what's happening right now is the list of facts that we've mastered is becoming pretty large. And so we're going to keep going until we see which facts do we still need to work on. Okay, so next, after we talked about the foundational facts, so twos, tens, fives, zeros, and ones in that order are our foundational facts. Well, now we're going to move on to our fours. That's because we've mastered those, and every strategy we've learned from this point can help us with the rest. So there were various ways with our fours. We could use our twos and double them, and that helped us be more efficient with our fours. So now we can remove our fours. And I did not remove my ones when we were talking about the identity property. So let me go back and do that. So we could get rid of the ones. After we learned our fours, we talked about our eights. And we learned that with our eights, we could either double our four facts, or we could use the strategy of the associative property and double, double, double to be fluent with those. So we've learned a strategy for that. So now we're going to go back and remove all of our 8 facts. So look at how many facts we've mastered up at this point. Okay, after our 8 facts, we moved on to our 3 facts. So for our 3s, we talked about how we could decompose the 3 into 2 plus 1, and that could quickly get us our product. So now I can go through and remove the 3 times 3s. Okay. Next, we moved on to our 6s. We talked about how we could either use 2 times 3 to help us, or we could use 5 plus 1 to help us here, so distributive and associative properties. So we can now remove our 6 facts, and look at how small our list is now. Okay, and then after we talked about our 6 facts, we then talked about our times 9 facts. We talked how we could do times 10 and subtract 1 to get those. So now I can remove anything that says times 9. So look at the only fact we have yet to talk about a strategy for. So we are fluent in all of our single digit multiplication problems, except for 7 times 7. So let's talk about a strategy we could use for this. Okay, so for 7 times 7, we're going to use the distributive property, because if the associative, my only factors are 1 and 7, so that's not going to help me. So with 7, I typically rely on breaking it into the foundational facts of 5 and 2. I could do other combinations, such as 1 and 6, 3 and 4, but I'm going to pick 5 and 2 because those are 2 foundational facts in one set right there. Okay, so let's look at an area model for 7 times 7. What we're going to do now is we're going to show the distributive property on our area model. So first, I could do 5 groups of 7, which we learned with our 5 strategies would be 35, and 2 groups of 7. When we double 7, we get 14. So when I add 35 and 14, I'm going to get a total of 49. So our strategy for our 7s is to simply just decompose it into the foundational facts of 5 and 2. So this is the only fact we have to use that for, because if we have 4 times 7, and we know that fact, well, we know 7 times 4. So we do not have to sit there and try a different strategy to figure that out. So congratulations, you have now learned fluent strategies for all of your multiplication facts of single digits. In this video, we talked about the strategies for multiplying by 7, and we are now through our fluency unit for multiplication.